In the legal world, precision isn't just important, it's everything. How you talk about your team adapting to change, well, that can make or break a client's confidence. Today, from Legal English Innovation, we're going to master a key phrase that will bring absolute clarity to that process. Let's jump right in. So, picture this. A senior partner asks how the team is handling the latest data privacy laws. A vague answer like, "We're working on it," just isn't going to cut it, right? Your response has to be precise. It needs to inspire confidence, and that's exactly the kind of language we're going to master today. Here's our game plan. We'll kick things off by framing the challenge we all face, then I'll introduce you to a really powerful grammatical tool. We'll look at how to use it for processes that are still happening and for ones that are already done. And finally, we'll put it all into practice. Let's get started. As a legal professional, you know the deal, especially in a field like data privacy. You're living in a state of constant change. New regulations, new threats, new standards, it really never stops. So adapting isn't just some skill you have, it's fundamental to your success. But here's the thing, adapting is only half the battle. Communicating that adaptation, that's what really truly matters. Telling a client you're working on it just sounds a little uncertain, doesn't it? But telling them precisely where you are in the process, now that shows control, competence, and it builds that crucial trust. So, how do we find that clarity we're looking for? Well, the solution is in one specific, really powerful grammatical structure that lets you talk about this process with total precision. The key phrase we're talking about is to get used to. At its heart, it's all about a journey, the process of something new and unfamiliar becoming normal, becoming second nature. It just perfectly captures that experience of mastering a new regulation or procedure. Okay, so this is our blueprint. This is the core formula that lets us build these really precise statements. You've got your subject, the verb to be, our key phrase getting used to, and then an ing verb that specifies what you're doing. Let's see how it actually works. First up, let's talk about describing an adaptation that's happening right now. A process that's underway but isn't quite finished yet. This is probably the most common status you'll need to report on. Just notice the phrasing here, are getting used to. The action isn't finished. These new employees, they're on the learning curve. This tells a client or a partner that, hey, they're on the right track, but they haven't achieved total mastery just yet. It manages expectations perfectly. So, the most important thing to remember is this. Getting used to is your go-to phrase when the process is active and ongoing. It signals progress, but it doesn't claim completion, and that's a really vital distinction in legal communication. Okay, but what happens when that process is over? We need the right language to describe the final result, and there are two key ways we can express that outcome, whether it turned out to be successful or not so much. Just look at this distinction. On the left, you've got the journey, getting used to. On the right, the destination, have gotten used to. That single change in the verb form shifts the entire meaning from in progress to complete. Honestly, this is the core of what we're learning today. Here's a perfect example. The long, hard process of learning GDPR is over. Our legal counsel is now completely accustomed to all its complexities. The adaptation is complete, it was successful, they've arrived. So the rule is pretty clear. When you want to state that someone has successfully finished their adaptation and that new situation is just normal for them now, have gotten used to is the precise phrase you need. But what if the adaptation hasn't been successful? Or maybe it's just taking longer than you thought. We need a tool for that too. And all we have to do is make the phrase negative, and we can communicate that the process is not yet finished. This is such a great example of an honest, clear status update. It shows that, even with the training, the goal hasn't been reached. And that little word, yet, at the end, it's key. It signals that this is still a work in progress. It's precise, and it manages expectations. All right, we've seen all the individual pieces. Now, let's put them all together into a simple framework you can start using immediately to communicate with a ton of confidence and clarity. This is basically your new decision tree. Before you speak or write, just ask yourself these three simple questions. Is it ongoing? Is it complete and successful? Or is it not yet complete? The answer is going to give you the exact phrase you need every single time. And remember, mastering this simple structure, it isn't just about good grammar. It is a direct reflection of your professionalism. It shows you're in command of the situation, and you can communicate your team's progress with total accuracy.
So, I'll leave you with this question. In your own practice, what new regulation, what new technology or procedure are you and your team getting used to right now? Answering that for yourself is the very first step to putting this powerful tool into action